girl CWHITT, and welcome to another CWHITT session. What's a CWHITT session? I'm so glad you asked. A CWHITT session is a pop-up interview in a pop-up location with a surprise guest. Surprise! We are popping up, and you're almost about to pop. We are here at our office, Hammond Development Corporation. I'm Chelsea Whittington, and I am joined by my colleague and client, Krystal Quagliara of Krystalized Health Advisors. Did I get it right?
Yes, Chelsea.
It's so great to see you. I saw you last week, and we jumped off the year with some emails from you regarding how we can get our lives in order and be alive in 2023. But before we get into all the things that you do with Krystalized Health, tell me who Krystal is.
Yes, so about to be a mom for the first time.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's just been a very interesting journey for me, I will tell you that. But a lot of people maybe know me as a professional entertainer, as well as a health coach. And I love to, I think, just brighten people's day, Chelsea. Honestly, whether I'm doing it through entertaining or helping them with their health and capture that alive feeling, that is kind of my mission in life, you know, to build God's kingdom and do it with a smile on my face.
Well, that is great and so timely, because we are, I want to say, kind of coming on the other side of the pandemic. Clearly, it's not totally over, but a lot of us needed a jump start. You know, we got into a funk, a slump, whatever you want to call it, and then we re-entered this world with a whole new set of visions and goals and things that we want to do. And what you do for a living helps a lot of us to do that. So talk to us. How did Krystalized Health come about? And I love it. It's Krystalized with a K for those of you who are starting to Google Krystal.
Yes. Well, it's been a very long journey. And when I was a child, I had a lot of issues with body image and my own health and
just
wellness.
A child?
And yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm listening.
And but it was especially tough. You know, I think I coped with food, you know, to kind of manage my feelings and anxiety and depression. And then when I was in adolescence and high school, sort of went the opposite direction and learned to really control food too much, over exercise, you know, get on the other side of that disordered eating and ate too little, and, you know, had all that. So, you know, it really was in college when I started to heal, you know, got into therapy and really realized that it wasn't helping others sort of develop their own sense of health for themselves. It enabled me to get outside of my own head. And, you know, that was really healing too, was helping others. So at that time, I started teaching a lot of fitness classes. I taught at the YMCA for years, a lot of park departments, a couple of gyms, you know. It's so funny when my husband and I go anywhere. It's like I'm always going to know someone, because someone either
it's a whole gym nation,
or saw me at a show, or it's just, I could never rob a bank. But
same.
And, you know, so I had become a personal trainer, and fitness and health were always sort of there running in the background as a program. I went to school at Purdue and got a degree in public relations, and your background.
Yes.
And, you know, just really used that with whatever job I had. I worked for some dental offices. I managed Dr. Tori's dental shop in Cherville for about 5 years and really helped her grow that practice. And so it was always in the health industry, you know, in some way or another. So when did you start
all this? Because you're like super young.
Oh my gosh.
Super young. And you've done so much.
Well, thank you. Yeah, well, you know, I guess in hindsight, you know, maybe good things, bad things, but I graduated college in 2008, which, you know, we all know is a very tough time to be entering the job force.
Yeah. And
so kind of just, I think, being a millennial in that situation really forced me to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And to want to pave my own way. So, you know, after several years of working in dentistry and all these things, I was like, you know what, I think it's time. It is time to bet on myself and to go off and do something of my own, you know. And, you know, at that time, I was like, I need to sort of birth something into the world, right?
Yes.
Here I am now, you know, 3-4 years later, and actually birthing a human into the world. So it's funny how God works.
Yes.
But
it really is.
That's kind of how it all came together, you know, as my own business.
Okay. And so we were saying before we started this broadcast that as you were signing the lease to come here with us in downtown Hammond, you get the news that you are with child.
Yes.
How did that change the trajectory of Krystalized Stuff, or did it?
It definitely did. I think it lit a fire under me for sure. You know, when it was just my husband and I was performing all the time, and you know, I sort of maybe didn't focus so much on growing the business, and you know, you sort of just think you have endless amounts of time to achieve the things you want to achieve. And then, you know, so funny, I thought, well, you know, maybe I just need to get out of the house and work a couple days a week somewhere else and just give myself a boost and be around other entrepreneurs. Because that's the thing too, you know, I think being an entrepreneur is just very lonely.
It can
at times when you're
depending on what you do.
Right, sure. You know, when you're in your house and you're behind your computer and you're talking to people over Zoom all the time.
That's what you tried to do to me today.
I did.
Can I tell you all that Krystal wanted to make this into an Instagram 2-screener. I don't do 2-screeners. I gotta do that and say, come talk to me at the desk. But I'm so glad you're here. Yeah. Like Zoom. I
think that's just
all
what
zoomed
we've
out.
all gotten used to.
I know.
You know, I'm sitting there, behind my phone, like on Instagram, ready to go. Like, where is she?
Here, waiting for you. I'm so glad you're here. But yeah, so you came, signed the dotted line, and how has it been, your experience here with HTC? So many resources.
Oh my gosh, it's been amazing. And I'm a Hammond resident, and I want to continue to be a Hammond resident, raise my family here. And I love the city, and I love what they have going on here. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't know this was here sooner.
It's a gem. It is one of the most well-kept secrets. But Jackie and Jen, shout out to them at HTC, they are doing their level best and an excellent job in getting the word out. And the space, the opportunities, the networking, the resources.
Yes.
When I heard about it, I was all in. So I think we're in our 3rd year here.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
And I am part of the Next Level program, which is, you know, an incubator of classes for small business entrepreneurs, and graduated the 1st level, and now I'm in level 2, and I'm hoping to finish just before the baby comes.
Slides in. You can do it. You can do it. And
But,
we'll name the baby Next Level.
Yeah.
Hey, next. No, kidding. So, with the classes here at HTC, what were some of the things, or what are some of the things that you are parlaying over to your business?
I will say it has gotten me serious. Again, just knowing that this is going from a hobby, it has to go from a hobby to a business. You know, something that functions in the real world, something that has, you know, financial statements and, you know,
accountability,
all those things, you know. And, you know, I often will like read scripture, and a lot of times it's like, you know, God trusts us in the little matters. Right, what we do with those, then
I will
he
make you
gives
ruler
us,
over the great. I know the scripture.
So, you know, when I think about it, I probably wasn't really ready to scale or level up in my business because it didn't have any of the infrastructure there to support it. I don't know what I would have done if I had an influx of 50 to 100 clients.
You know, you are really helping some people. Because I talk to entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs all the time. And they're like, I'm ready. And they just like, I'm like, before you hit that button, hold on. Do you have your paperwork in order? Do you know, and that's what HTC provides, all these different areas, finance and marketing, all these different paperwork that you need to do, any type of trademarking, copywriting, and then somebody can go out and just steal your idea or your name because you just jumped in and didn't protect yourself, insurance, all these things. And I know I'm sounding like an HTC commercial, but we have lived it by being here. I'm an instructor with Next Level, and I have seen so many businesses grow like yours. So now let's transition. Let's get Krystalized now and talk about some of the offerings. As I look at your flyers and your information on your website, there were you have several areas in which you help and coach and counsel, but there were 2 areas that always catch my attention because I consider myself health conscious. I can always do better, but I like to work out. I like to have energy. And so you talk about getting away from the concept of dieting, which I totally agree with. A diet is a joke. It's got to be a lifestyle.
Yes.
We know that.
Yes.
And then the other bullet talks about having energy throughout the day. I had it in my 30s and tail end of my 40s, and then now it's like, ooh, I'm so sleepy. So Krystal, what do you offer that will help address these issues and more?
Yes. So, so the first issue of getting off the dieting roller coaster, like leaving that word sort of behind. And when you talk about diet, it really is a lifestyle. It's the way you eat. Like that's how it's meant to be looked at, and that plays into the energy. I think people often get on this like caffeine roller coaster through the day, and I certainly do use caffeine.
Used to,
a little bit. But you'd be surprised, Chelsea. It's insulin, it's sleep, stress management. A lot of those things really play into energy, and it's especially, I think, when you're eating and how you're eating throughout the day, so that you're not constantly spiking your insulin levels and then feeling that sugar crash that comes, and teaching your body how to fuel itself with its own energy sources, like all of our stored fat, instead of fueling with glucose and sugar and things that tend to be what we reach for during the day when we're dipping.
Okay. And so you provide a program, a regimen, you have journals, all those kind of things. If I just got on your website or stepped into your office or gave you a call, what can I expect?
Yeah, so a lot of listening. So I would probably let you talk most of the time. And I just want to listen to, what are the struggles you've had? What have you tried in the past? What's worked? What hasn't worked? What is your lifestyle like? Because while there's a strategy, it's not a one size fits all.
That's right.
And, I understand that as being somebody who's had many different jobs, many different facets of my life, that, certain things work at certain times, other things work at other times, and for certain people. So I would want to learn about you, anybody who comes to me, what you're looking for and really how that's going to fit into your life. Because if we're trying to fit something round into a square hole, there's going to be a lot of resistance there. Right. And so we have to find things that work for you and then implement those changes slowly, build some confidence around them, and sort of layer these things on top.
I like it. If you're just tuning in, hey, it's your girl CWHITT. We are having a CWHITT session with Krystal of Krystalized Health Advisors, and I'm low-key getting a little session in with her to find out some things that I need to do. I really like that talk about, insulin, what you're eating throughout the day, the spike up, the sugar crash. Got to be more mindful of that. It's like, why am I so tired now? It's like, oh, what did you eat and at what time did you eat it? And now that's why you're tired. Makes perfect sense. Give me an example of a client, of course not revealing any identity, but something that happened that was successful.
Yes. Well, I can think of a couple people, but in particular, someone who came to me, they were very just overwhelmed, overworked, took home their work a lot, that led to a lot of stress. And, what really we needed to do was work on like a lot of the affirmations that were running through their head and the beliefs that they had about themselves. And, all the time I heard things like, well, here I am again, and this is the struggle I've always had. And, instead of recreating an identity of a winner, somebody who's going to run this race for a lifetime, but have wins along the way. And I think that was so beautiful to start seeing her, let go of some of that stress at work and start to manage those things. And it was sort of like, it wasn't one came before the other, but it was as she worked on herself and believed more and more that these things were possible, the nutrition helped her feel better at work, and then feeling better at work helped her choose better for her nutrition. So, these things play into each other a lot.
I like it. And I know from my own personal journey of having experienced some weight loss at some points in my life that not only do you feel better, you get a boost of confidence, and then that spills over into your work life, and it's like everything becomes full circle. And I am a big proponent of self-care is the best care. And sometimes we learn that too late, and we become overwhelmed, and we're everything to everybody except to ourselves. Would you agree?
Oh, very true.
So now I'm thinking, though, now that you're going to be a new mommy, you're going to have to make some types of adjustments. So how are you crystallizing yourself?
Certainly. And that's been a struggle, because how I teach people to live and things, sometimes it's hard, when you're pregnant, not feeling well, you know, not able to move. I mean, for my first trimester, I couldn't really exercise and had some other complications where I had to really slow down and not do things. And I'm like, okay, you know, how can I keep, and that was sort of what I did, you know, what would I tell a client if they came to me in this situation? I would say, do what you can, you know, move how you can.
Get your wins along the way. I was listening to you.
Exactly. You know, one of those things for me, I really had to be diligent about the practice of the mindfulness, the meditation, the scripture in the morning, you know, writing in my gratitude journal. And, you know, even if it was a day where I could not really move very much and, you know, could only eat chicken soup and crackers, it was still, you know, I was still doing that for myself. And so that was a win. You know, I had to look at, well, what are the habits that I can still do? And this is always, right, this too shall pass. This is not going to be this way forever. Right. You know, there's always sort of a light coming.
Yeah. Krystal, you are so pleasant. I could like hear you on a podcast and say, let me just play Krystal, and I know everything is going to be all right. So now here comes the part where I know there are people who are watching like, okay, I'm in. How do I get my consultation? There's an offering for a journal on your site as well, so I want to talk about that. But let's pause and let people know how to get in touch with you and how your sessions work. How do you set things up?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can go to aliveit2023.com, set up a simple website for you all, and you can find the book there, and also book a call. I call it a free dream strategy call. Because what I discovered is that, you know, the weight loss or the health, I mean, that's really just one part of it. What people really want is sort of this dream life. They want to feel better. They want to feel connected. They want to have better relationships. They want to have more energy to go after maybe a side gig that turns into their full-time gig, right? Like me. So, you know, it's really just holding a container for people to kind of put their dreams into it and me listening, right? Because I think sometimes if we've been married for a while, or we talk to our family or our parents or siblings or whoever, right? Some people go, oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, you're not going to do that. You're too old for that. Why now? Your kids are almost grown or whatever.
Exactly. Or you've tried that before, or, oh, here we go again, right? We all get these sort of negative things, and people say them out of love, but ultimately they're not very helpful. So I like to be there to, you know, hold that container for you and say, put your dreams here. Let's talk about what you want to achieve and how we can get you there. And that's really where I get started.
Alive in 2023. Are you alive out there? Are you ready to get crystallized? I just love that. So with the journal, let's just talk a little bit about that piece and what's in it and how do we apply that with the services.
Yes, so it's the Alive Journal 2023. It's my second book. The first one was called the Playful Journal. And that one is more of a workbook type. But this, the Alive Journal for this year is more of a day-to-day. It's got 365 days worth of journal prompts, and you just go through and you can track your habits, you can write your gratitude there, celebrate your wins for the day, put a focus in there for the month, put a focus in there for the day, because I find that, myself included, when we try to achieve 25 things in the day, we inevitably will not.
Somebody's looking over my shoulder at my list. Now you're making me feel better of that 25. I think I've done 3.
Oh, good. See?
Celebrate those 3. Okay, I got it.
So, yeah, exactly. Sort of helping people get in that celebration mode. You know, get into those wins. Celebrate the gratitude in their life. And just keep track of the things that are important. Each day has an affirmation to say that sort of gets that negative thinking, I call it stinking thinking.
Stinking
reprograms that for you, and you know, just kind of helps you to get more on track.
You see that little girl over there? She's just so tuned into you, Amber, because she's an affirmation. She's an affirmation type, and she is a deep believer in, like, let me reprogram. We talk about that all the time, of negative energy, negative people. Yes, she was zoomed in. I am too, and right here on the show, yes, Amber, I will be getting us our Alive in 2023 journals, because I like that daily prompt 300, and it's that level of accountability to ourselves. And like the scripture says, write the vision, make it plain. When you write things down, I have a more of a tendency to commit when I see it in writing, like you said, this is what you're going to do, and doing more for self in 2023. That's my goal.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
One more time, tell everybody how to find Krystalized Health Advisors.
Yes. So alivein2023.com is the website. I'm on Instagram, Krystal.Quagliara, or Krystalized Health Advisors on Facebook. And yeah, I also do have a podcast. It's funny you mentioned that. It's called The Playful Life, and you can find it on YouTube or Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Nice. So we have one more blast, there's a major e-blast that's coming out about Krystal. And not only will this video be on there, but all the links to your podcast, all the links to the book, how you can get at this beautiful pregnant woman. Are you going to check out on us for a little while, though? You got to, right? Right after the baby.
I probably will, yeah.
A little bit? Okay.
It's actually really good timing because a lot of people tend to take time off of their health things like around the spring for some reason. It's kind of like beginning of the year, everybody's gung-ho in January. And then it sort of tapers off April, May.
And then they get serious
and
when
then,
it gets hot.
Yeah,
like,
you know, it's warm out and they're like, I want to go to the beach. I want to, right? So you start thinking about those things and people want to get more active and be outdoors. So I think it'll be good timing.
Okay. Well, I will definitely be sharing all of this information on all of my platforms and being engaged as well with my journal, and Amber hold me accountable, and we're going to make sure we do our affirmations and again celebrate those small wins. You have been watching another WHITT session, a pop-up interview in a pop-up location with a surprise guest. I have been delighted to speak with my colleague and now friend Krystal of Krystalized Health Advisors. I hope that you will go to alivein2023.com to get your journal, to make your appointment with Krystal. Tell them WHITT sent you, and watch for that e-blast with all of the information coming out next week. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, Krystal.
Thanks, Chelsea.